BNP Paribas, partenaire des plus belles histoires de Roland-Garros, aux côtés des ramasseurs de balles depuis plus de 50 ans.
Good. I feel good again. It's been not ideal clay preparation for me, but happy to be here in Paris. It's a tournament that I love so much, so definitely happy to be back and had a good practice week so far, so I'm just looking forward to start.
When you think of yourself as a player, is it an all-court player? Do you have a favorite surface, and where does sort of clay fit in? You being a European player.
What do you mean awkward player?
What?
What do you mean awkward player?
I mean the good on
all court.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, yeah. I feel like I can play on all surfaces. I feel like clay has been always good for me, especially when I was younger, because the game was a little bit slower. There was more time and stuff, and being a young player in the tour, it's like in the beginning there's a big physical difference, so it was maybe a bit easier for me to adapt to these kind of players on clay. But now it's not really the problem. Now I feel like I probably still feel the most comfortable on clay court, but again, I love hard court, I love grass, I've done great on grass, but clay, I think it's a very nice surface because it's not only about the power, it's also about the understanding of the game and how you build up the points and also the physicality.
Hey Holger, I want to ask about on-court coaching, and it's been kind of available to tennis players for a while now. Just curious, do you think it makes a difference, and what do you want from your coach with it? And also, on the WTA a few years ago, they used to have coaches would come onto the court and actually speak to players at change of ends. Would you want that ever?
Yeah, I think it's good that coaching is allowed because it was being done no matter what, anyways. But I do believe that I think it's fine that it's from the box. That I don't think the coach needs to come on the court. I think that's a bit of a different dimension that I think is not necessary, honestly. But I think how it is now is fine. You can communicate with your coach and your team, and I think that's totally fair. I think it's like almost any other sports, like football as well. The coach is yelling from the side and stuff. So honestly, I think it's good because before, maybe you did some signs with the hands here and there, and then you got a warning or something like this. So it's like now it's just open for everyone, and I think that's totally fair. Yeah, what do you want? It depends on the moment, but I usually like to get simple kind of advice during the matches because you're stressed enough in the matches. So I think the basic stuff, on big points, be brave and stick to the game plan and stuff like that. I think that's, obviously simple stuff, but when you're on the match and it's a battle, sometimes you forget things, and it's nice to have someone remind you.
I remember when you were quite young, you hit with Novak early on. Is that did you have a relationship with him sort of throughout when you were a junior, and did he have an impact on you, or was it just sort of a one-time thing?
No, definitely. Novak has been really, really nice to me all my career, and the first time I hit with him was in, I think, the ATP Tour finals, and then afterwards I hit with him in Monaco when I was pretty young. So it was always really nice. He was really kind to me. He was giving me advices and stuff like that. So I think I really appreciated that, and he's obviously one of the best that we've had. So it feels like a big privilege that he has been so nice, and I'm sure he's we'll still see him around in the big tournaments and the big rounds.
Can I just what was some of the advice that he gave you, or does anything stick out in terms of what he told you when you were young that has really stayed in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, one specific thing he told me was when we were hitting forehand cross, I think in general young players, as they grow up, they get more power and they're more excited about their power. And he said him personally, he would suggest me never to go more than 70-80% on every shot to make sure it's safe enough but still with good quality. So I feel like sometimes you go for all or nothing, and I think his game shows that pretty good, that he's not risking much, but at the same time he has tremendous quality on his shot. So that's one thing he told me.
Hey.
Hey.
curious what you think about the idea that they still have line judges
Yeah,
here,
that's true.
while we have at almost every tournament, every surface now, even Wimbledon, they're getting rid of line judges and relying on the electronic line calling.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised actually when I saw it in qualis. I thought that it was all tournaments now that had automatic line call, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I think it would be easier if everything was the same. Like either it's all automatic or it's all line umpire. And I personally, think automatic line call is good because it, makes less discussions and less drama and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel, either we player read the marks wrong or there is also some fails in the system, because I've had also, I remember one mark in Rome where I was like, that's ridiculous, that's impossible that you call this one in. But again, it's like, if it's here, that would definitely have been called out from an umpire, but from the automatic, it's in. So it's like a little bit confusing. But again, we're always going to have mistakes, it's normal.
One other thing, at Grand Slam tournaments like here, you can end up with an 11 a.m. match or a match that starts at 11 p.m. and goes to all hours. Do you have a preference for when you play?
Yeah, it's actually a good subject, because that's one thing that's not good about tennis. That's like, we don't know when we play until like the day before. We could play in the morning, in the evening, where, again, I mentioned it before, but like football players, they know already in December when they're going to play in May. And it's like, you can prepare much easier, where we tennis players, also the change of conditions, the change of, countries, surfaces, whatever. And I think, ideally they could give us a little bit more time with that. Me personally, I prefer to play in the afternoon, get a good sleep, It's a bit early now, so.
Just to follow that, actually, Medvedev said, like back in Rome, that he thinks 11 a.m. start should be abolished because it's too early, and he wants his sleep basically. So how tough is that? I mean, here in qualies they start at 10, so it's even worse.
It's funny he says that, because every time we practice back in Monaco, he always wants to practice at 9. So it's funny he says that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think 11, 12 is fine to start. I mean, it's. It's not that early. It's a bit early, but it's not like it's impossible. I mean, in juniors we started at 9 often in the morning. That's pretty tough, because then you have to wake up like 3 hours before, so you have to wake up at 6, and then it starts to be a struggle. But yeah, I think if I can avoid it as much as possible, the 11, I'm happy.